Awesome. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. If you weren't able to get the Zoom link, I so apologize. I've got an issue with my calendar system, and I will get that fixed for next time. This is Lisa Nichols. I'm a transformation coach for women in business, and today we're going to go through the topic procrastination. Let's get to the root, and there's so much to unpack with procrastination. And so let me also put myself on speaker view. And I'm going to also pen myself there. Okay. So this is what I'm going to cover today. What is procrastination and what it's not? I'll introduce myself a little bit. I'll talk about the real reasons for why you procrastinate. We'll do some tapping on procrastination, and I also have a special offer. So procrastination is when you unnecessarily postpone decisions or actions. And what does that really look like? Well, it looks like when you come up against something that is uncomfortable, that seems like it's going to be hard, like it's going to take too much time, like you don't have confidence that you're going to be able to do it well. And you just think to yourself, oh, I'll do that later. And then you spend that time between then and later thinking about it and worrying about it and not sleeping because of it. And you're finding other things to do, like cleaning, other things that need to be done but aren't as important. Or, of course, the big ones are the phone scrolling or the Netflixing. And then you finally get around to doing it and you think to yourself, I'm pretty silly. That didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would, or that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And why did I procrastinate? Why did I take so long? Why didn't I just do it? And you kind of beat yourself up about it. So that's what procrastination is. What it's not is time management or lack of time management or organizational skills. I mean, certainly if you need those, they're great to have. But if you look out on the internet on how to overcome procrastination, I just saw a Facebook ad today that says, we'll figure out your productivity cycle. And so, they're going to tell you, oh, you get more done in the morning, so get up early, or you go to, you're better late at night, so work at night, or whatever that is. But they'll also tell you, make checklists, to-do lists, put away distractions, like turn off any notifications, etc. And these are all, like I said, they're all time management and productivity and organizational tips. Those are great. They're great to have, but they don't necessarily help you eliminate your procrastination. And the reason why is because procrastination comes from, I just said it earlier, it's when you're uncomfortable, when you're afraid that you're not going to do something well, when you are worried about the money it'll cost or the time it will take, or it actually has to do with these underlying feelings and beliefs that you have around yourself and around how the world works. So I'm going to just really quick talk about me and introduce myself. And so I was a master chronic procrastinator most of my life. I remember so many times when procrastination would cause real issues in my life. And one of the ones that I regret the most is when my children were young, and I would especially procrastinate leaving the house. And so they would suffer from my procrastination because I would make us late getting them to school. And then I'm screaming at them, get in the car, get in the car, get in the car. And I'd be driving like one of those mad women moms, or, trying to get their kids to school. And I'd be swearing at the other drivers because they're in my way. It wasn't their fault. It was my own fault. And, I guess you could probably say that my kids hate to be late now to anything, and I don't blame them. After growing up with a mom who procrastinated. And it's been really, I've worked on myself over the years, so I had gotten better at procrastination, but it's really become once I really identified the key thing as to why I procrastinated, which was fear of judgment, to the point of fear of social anxiety. And I mean, there were lots of other reasons. I think those of us who have procrastination, there are multiple things going on in there. And I'm going to talk about that in a little while. Okay, so I've got someone trying to join and she needs a passcode. So let me just get that. Do you guys remember the passcode? Shorty, do you have the passcode again?
I have it. It's 044167.
044167.
167.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so procrastination. Yes, back to procrastination. Okay, so the reasons I procrastinated had nothing to do with my time management skills or not being not being organized. I'm actually a very organized person. And so where it came from was beliefs that I generated as a child. And we all do this when we're children. We see the world from our children's viewpoint. And when things happen, we kind of make up what that means. When something happens, we make up what it means about us or about the world. And so I felt constantly judged, or like if I did anything, if I did it one way or I did it another way, I would be judged for it. I just was working with a client this week who had a very critical parent. And no matter what she said or what she did, this parent would have to say something about it. Oh, are you too good to say hello to me? Kind of thing. Like if she comes home from school and is like, doesn't want to say hi or just walks to her room. Oh, are you too good to say hi to me? You know, or if she said, hi, Dad, he'd be like, oh, is that all you can do? Is hi, Dad? You know, it's like no matter what she did, she would get criticized for it. And so, you know, why would you want to try anything? Why wouldn't you want to just hide and try not to be seen so that, you know, you don't get this slap in the face no matter what you do? And I was the same around being judged. So it's a coping mechanism that children develop when they're just trying to make sense of the world. You know, it's so hard from a child's viewpoint to see how the world really works, and you just assume it means something about you. And this is the thing, is that people who procrastinate, they've been doing it so long, and it's been that they just think that it's who they are. It's just they were born a procrastinator. They'll always be a procrastinator. It's not something that they can change. And, you know, it's things like I just gave you an example of a parent who's highly critical, or, you know, you're in a classroom and the teacher holds up your work. And this happened to my daughter. A teacher held up another student's work and said, guys, this is exactly how I told you not to do it, right in front of the entire class. And so if you get like this like hit of the big time when you're criticizing, it like hurts your soul, or if you're just like constantly criticized, there's any number of beliefs that you can create. Like you could decide, well, if I'm going to be criticized anyway, I'll just do what I want. And you can become this rebel. And so then when anyone wants you to do something, you'll be like, I'm not going to do that. You can't make me. Or you could decide that you're a terrible person, you're not capable. And so you're not going to want to try to do something because you know you're going to screw up. You could also have, like I said, have this fear of criticism or judgment, or making a mistake, making any kind of decision. Decisions have always been hard for me. And I always thought, oh, I'm a Libra, you know, but no, it's because I always expected someone to tell me my decision was wrong. So there's any number of beliefs that you can create based on what happens to you when you're a child. And then that it bleeds into your adult life and means that you procrastinate, you avoid doing things so that it's a protection or a coping mechanism. You're trying to protect yourself. So even sometimes you won't take action, even when it's in your best interest, like in relationships. If someone, let's say someone asks you to do something like take out the trash or unload the dishwasher or whatever, and you're like, I'll do it when I feel like it, or you just never get around to doing it because you're procrastinating, that's going to cause issues in your relationship. If you are struggling with your career or you want to start a business, I was just talking to a guy the other day that procrastinated for 4 years to finally start the business that he'd been wanting. So he lost 4 years worth of momentum and time to build his business because of the fears that he had around it, and he just kept procrastinating. So I was talking earlier about those things that a lot of gurus or experts, supposed experts, tell you to do, like, your to-do list and things like that. And sometimes that's even worse when people try those tactics to try to overcome their procrastination, because it'll work for a little while, or they'll start procrastinating on doing it and not do it, or it'll work for a little while, but what happens is their underlying beliefs come up and they override everything else. They override the habits that you're trying to install or to create. And then what happens is then you feel even worse because you tried to overcome your procrastination and you didn't. And so it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. And then it really reinforces that idea that you're just a procrastinator and there's nothing you can do about it to change it. So I've actually working on an online program for procrastination. And what I did was I broke down the underlying reasons for procrastination into 4 categories. And I'm going to go through them. And I just thinking if you guys will just think about them as I talk about them and kind of make notes of which ones do you think apply to you. And I do have a quiz. You can go to www.whyouprocrastinatequiz.com and take a quiz, and it'll tell you your main reason. I'm going to put it in the chat, your primary one. Procrastinatequiz.com. Okay, there it is. Hopefully I spelled procrastinate right. I've only typed it like 3,000 times the last couple of weeks and I still type it wrong. Okay, so the 4 categories that I've created, and honestly, these are all things that I dealt with. And I know there are probably other causes, like I don't have fear of success in my program because I didn't have fear of success. So there may be other reasons, but the 16 that I came up with, I've broken them down into 4 categories: fear, overwhelm, self-beliefs, and rebellion. So I'm going to just kind of walk through the different ones. And like I said, you can think about whether you think they apply to you or not. Okay, so the fear, I have 5 different fears. The first is the fear of judgment that we've talked about a little bit, which when it's extreme, it is social anxiety disorder. So if you know for a fact that no matter what you do, you're going to be judged, it's pretty hard to get yourself to try anything. And often the judge is yourself. You will often judge yourself before anyone else has the opportunity to. You're trying to delay the judgment from other people by judging yourself first. So that critical inner voice and will kind of keep you from being able to take action in any way, even taking the first step to take action. So then there is, of course, fear of failure. And fear of failure I think is a very common one. It's embarrassing when you fail. You can feel shameful, which means, you actually literally feel like it's because you're a bad person that you failed. It can become a habit to feel like a failure. And, I think that a lot of the difficulties that we're having with young men and guns and things like that are because they don't have a sense of themselves as anything other than a failure, and that they have nothing to lose. They're a failure anyway. So fear of failure can be really devastating. Well, all of these can be truly. So the fear of being criticized, I talked about that one with my client. And that if you, and sometimes parents will criticize their children as a parenting technique, kind of hoping that if you tell your kid what's wrong with them or what they did wrong, that will help them. And it's not a helpful, just in case you didn't notice, it is not a helpful parenting technique. In fact, it does the opposite. It can really cause some self-esteem issues and procrastination issues and other issues. So fear of making a mistake. And there's the next one is fear of making the wrong decision. And to me, they're two different things. So making a mistake is it opens you up to being, all of these open you up to being vulnerable, but especially feeling vulnerable that people can point out how wrong you are or how stupid you are or how incompetent you are. And so you're going to try to avoid making any mistakes by not doing anything. And making the wrong decision, like I said earlier, this was a big one for me. And it's both for yourself, like you could disappoint yourself, or that other people could think that you've made the wrong decision. So for me, even as a child, my family would tease me about how hard it was for me to make a decision, chocolate or vanilla ice cream. They definitely would never give me more than two choices, but even chocolate versus vanilla, I would struggle because even as a young child, I didn't know how to weigh them, or I didn't know that there was a possibility I could have both, or I could just say, oh, I'll have chocolate this time and vanilla next time. I didn't know how to deal with it. And so because I got teased because I was a bad decision maker, it, just meant that I continued to be a bad decision maker, and I avoid making decisions as often as I can. So, okay, so those are the 5 fears. Then the next one is the overwhelm. And this is one probably, especially for the adults, is where procrastination comes in, of just having too much to do. And the thing is about having too much to do is we forget that we choose it. We forget that we decide what we do and when we do it and how we do it. And we think that, especially if we're in our career and we've got young children, and we think that, oh, we have to volunteer at the school, and oh, we have to try to go to all the school field trips, and I need to make sure I do this extra work, or someone needs to be president of the PFC, so I'll be president of the PFC. We forget that we have choice in even in our work. We forget that we have choice to say, that's important, and yet it can wait until I have more time to do it. Or that if we have a boss, if we're working at a real job, so that we have the opportunity to go to our boss and say, these are my priorities right now, and I don't have time to do them all well. Which do you want me to prioritize first? We forget that we have the opportunity to choose. And so when we're feeling overwhelmed from having too much to do, it's also how we look at it, and how we decide what's overwhelming and what's not. Okay, so another thing around overwhelm is when we're so overwhelmed that we're tired physically and mentally. and this is a kind of a flashpoint when you need to be aware of when you're getting to this point, because then you can go into burnout. And burnout is no laughing matter. It's not just being tired and taking a weekend off. Burnout can really impact you physically and mentally for months, and it can take a while to get over it. So if you are tired physically and mentally, you're going to procrastinate. You just don't have the energy or the motivation to take on anything else, or to do, take those first steps, or to try to finish something, because you're tired, because you're just overwhelmed. And the third thing about overwhelm is sometimes we use it as an excuse. And I think a lot of busy professional women do this because you get a lot out of being really super busy. People love you for it. Our culture gives you kudos for it. Wow, ask a busy person. If you need something done, ask a busy person. And people who don't step up kind of get the side eye. The moms who don't step up, they get at the PFC or whatever, they get the side eye, like, wow, why aren't they doing any? But so you can get lots of kudos for being busy, and you can also use it as an excuse not to deal with other things in your life. I know parenting was not a great, easy thing for me, and yet I was excellent at my job. So guess which one I prefer to do? So that's overwhelm. And then self-beliefs. There are 5 self-beliefs that I think contribute to procrastination. The first one is thinking that you're not capable. And especially if you had a mom or a dad or whoever was raising you, be very impatient with you, as and you're trying to do things as in a child's timeline, and maybe they just take over something, or they're just like, oh, get out of the way, I'll just do it, or just kind of babying you. They either baby you or they helicopter you or something. You can develop this belief that I'm not capable. And like I said earlier, if you think you're going to screw up, why are you going to try something? You're just going to procrastinate on it. The second belief is nothing will ever change. And this has to do with, it's kind of ancestral and generational family patterns. Like if your family has always been low income, it's going to be really hard to believe in yourself that you can become a high income person. If your family has always had depression, this was true for me. I used to say, oh, depression runs in my family. And I just assumed I would have to have depression because that's just the way it was. So if you have this belief that you can't change or nothing can ever change, will ever change, why would you try? Why would you even, and it's likely that maybe you try something and then when it doesn't work out right away, you're like, see, I knew it. I knew nothing would change. A third belief is that you can't change to be accepted by the people in your life. So we all know that, when we have certain patterns and roles in our families, in our work, in our friendships, that we're expected to be a certain person or a certain way. So like if you were the scapegoat, or you were the golden child, or you were the bully, or you were the clown, whatever you were in your family or in your friends, if you're the one that always organizes everything or whatever, it's hard to change from those roles. Really hard. And so it feels easier and way more comfortable just to stay the same, even if that's not who you really are, even if you'd prefer something different in your life. Another one is a belief that no one understands you. And there is a high percentage of people, I'm trying to remember, like, I think over 40% of people think that no one understands them. And that is a really hurtful thing, that to feel like no one understands who you are or what your needs are or what your desires are or anything like that. You know, it's very hurtful. And if you think that no one understands you, you're not going to offer up ideas. You're not going to offer up to help with anyone, with anything. You're basically going to try to protect yourself, because like I said, it's very hurtful thing to feel like no one gets you. And then the last belief is that you don't deserve better. Whatever you've got right now, that's what you get. And it's kind of related to the nothing will ever change. Like like I said, in your family, if your family has always been a certain way, then that's what you're going to believe you deserve. Or if you were the scapegoat of your family, you're going to believe that you deserve to be, you don't, not in your brain, but kind of in your heart, you're going to just think that you deserve to always get the short end of the stick. And that can really keep you from being able to put yourself out there and try to do something. So then 3 more things. This is rebellion. So rebellion, like I said earlier, it comes from like just kind of getting tired of feeling like you have no control or autonomy over yourself or your body as a child, or that there are certain things that the way that other people are acting. And so no matter what you do, you're going to get in trouble, or you're going to get criticized, you're going to be judged, or whatever that is. And so you just think, well, I'll just do what I want then. And I broke this down into 3 different things. You can't make me. I do what I want. This is big for me. Like anytime anyone expects me to do something, I'm like, yeah, good luck with that, basically. And then, the basic one of I don't want to. And this will come up, like I said, that someone says, hey, will you go unload the dishwasher? No, I don't want to. Or make me, and we all have done that before. And but there are times when it really means that this I think is especially when you will do things that are against your own best interest, even if you need to do something. Like your boss says, hey, be on time. Your workday starts at 9, and you're like, yeah, make me, excuse me. So I think it can really cause issues, especially in relationships. So I've been talking on, and now I'm going to stop and ask, does anyone have any questions or thoughts or comments? Hey, did you get, Vanessa?
So I'm assuming that, because as you were talking about the categories and then each thing within the categories, I was circling ones that I think about myself, right? Which is perfect, by the way, because as you were talking before, I was like, how do I know which type of procrastinator I am? And so my thought is that obviously like there's like 2 bits from like fear and like rebellion and things like that. So it's kind of, you encompass a little bit of all, right?
Yes, that was definitely me. All of these things I had. Yes.
Yeah, because some more than others, but like in all the categories, I could at least identify 1 or 2 in each category, basically.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's such a key point, is that it's good to work on each individual one, but it's also good to know that there can be multiple underlying reasons that drive your procrastination. Absolutely.
No, I really love how you brought in our childhood. I mean, and so here's my concern. I think you nailed it on every one of them. I feel all of those. So, whoa.
It's like, where do you start?
Worried.
You're like, how do I?
But no, it was, and I, just to think about the childhood stuff and all, I mean, you nailed it, Lisa. That was awesome.
Thank you. Alicia, you have your.
Yeah, I'm nodding because in some cases it's like oh, I'm a fear of, being seen and possibly making the wrong decision. And then I'm like, yeah, that's me. But then when you were talking about the self-belief, I'm like, ooh, so some of them come up in different reasons, different situations. Like if, yeah. So
Mhm.
right on. Good job.
Thank you.
Well, and two, like for me, I was thinking, I don't know that I can identify a particular thing or like how I was, my childhood or whatever, that why I have these things. Like as you were talking about, I honestly, I can't think of things that I like that I wasn't put down. I had I don't know. I can come up with it. I just am. And so now that I am, how do I work on these things? Because it's not like a situation that I could work on. It was like I just am these things. So like, how
I
do
know
I
it
do?
does feel like it's just who you are, but it's not. Yeah, Amy, did you have your mute off?
Oh, you muted me because I was making noise, I think.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, I've just noticed myself in a few different categories. It's not just one thing. It feels like a lot that I still need to work on. Yeah, it just kind of never ending, it feels like.
Well, the good news is, I think that as you work on some of them, it will automatically help with the other aspects. I found that to be true for myself. That especially as I worked on the social anxiety disorder, the other things were also faded away. And so I think, if you find out kind of like the big things and work on the big things, it helps with all the other things. Because I think a lot of the beliefs and the emotional charge that we get come from the same event or event in our childhood that we went through. And so if you work on that one event or, a series of events where these beliefs came from, then it'll help with all the others. And so, Vanessa, it doesn't have to be like from some big traumatic thing. Like I said, it could be something as simple as like your teacher calling you out or, just really wanting a prize or or something and not getting it. It's a lot of times in my experience, it's the innocuous events that actually create these big beliefs. And of course, the big trauma is like where we get PTSD or CPTSD or anything like that. That's something different. But I think from these kind of underlying beliefs that we have, it's just, I think my story of when I was sweeping my grandmother's floor and my mom said, "Is that all the dirt you got?" I could have gotten twice that. And that like devastated me for decades. And yet it was just a little event that my mom probably never thought of again. And but it just showed me, I'm not capable. I never do anything right. That was like the meaning that I gave that event. But once I was able to, disconnect that meaning from the event and just see it as, my mom was kind of rude, then I don't have the same emotional charge around it anymore. Okay, so I wanted to do some tapping, and the tapping I thought I would do is on, even though is the belief that you're a procrastinator, it's just who you are, you can't change it. So I think Sophia's trying to get in and she can't get in either. So anyway, darn. All right, so I'm going to have everyone who doesn't know how to do EFT tapping, I'll just have you learn by doing it with me. And I'm going to just walk through the tapping points really quickly so you feel what those are. We'll start with the karate or the side of the hand below the joint with the little finger, and you can use either hand, and then go to the top of the head, the top of the eye, which is next to the eyebrow. I mean, next to the nose. It's on the eyebrow next to the nose, side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, crease of the chin, just below the collarbone point where there's a nice soft spot, the bottom of the ribs, which you won't see me doing that, and then under the arm, which is about 3 or 4 inches where below your armpit, the top of the wrist, the bottom of the wrist, and then we'll start over again on the top of the head again. Okay, so for this first one, the first thing you do is come up with an intensity level on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no intensity and 10 being highly intense, basically on how you feel about being a procrastinator, that you're stuck being a procrastinator, you've always been a procrastinator, you always will be. And write down your number, and then we'll get tapping. So as I tap, I'll pause, and you guys will say basically what I say, unless something is more true for you, and then say what's more true for you. So if I say I'm really angry and you're really hurt, then say I'm really hurt. Okay? So let's get tapping. Starting on the side of the hand with our setup statement. Even though I'm a procrastinator and I always will be, I deeply love and completely accept myself. Top of the head, I'm a procrastinator. Top of the eye, it's just who I am. Side of the eye, I can't change it. Under the eye, like I can't change the color of my eyes. Under the nose, I've always procrastinated and I always will. On the chin, it's part of me. It's just a part of my personality. On the collarbone, I've been called lazy, or I've called myself lazy. Bottom of the ribs, but it's more like a block. Under the arm, when faced with something I don't want to do. Top of the wrist, that's not fun. Bottom of the wrist, that I don't feel confident about. Top of the head, that I think will be hard or take too much time. Top of the eye, my mind will go to, I'll do this later. Side of the eye, I feel stuck, frozen. Under the eye, I really hate when I put something important off. Under the nose, it's such a waste of time. On the chin, I end up thinking about it constantly. On the collarbone, I'll lie awake worrying about it. On the bottom of the ribs, it's like a doom cloud hanging over my head. Under the arm, I don't want to put things off to the last minute. Top of the wrist, and it stresses me out and makes me anxious. Bottom of the wrist. I like to tell myself that I work better under pressure. Top of the head. It's not necessarily true. I lose accuracy and thoroughness. Top of the eye. I don't necessarily do my best work. Side of the eye. When I procrastinate, I lose out on opportunities. Under the eye. A lot more doors would be open to me if I didn't procrastinate. Under the nose, and I feel disappointed in myself. On the chin, when I finally get something done that I've been putting off. And the collarbone. It's hardly ever as bad as I think it was going to be, or thought it was going to be. Bottom of the ribs. It didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would. Under the arm. I feel so relieved to have it done. Top of the wrist. But I also beat myself up. Bottom of the wrist. I wonder, why did I procrastinate in the first place? Top of the head. Why did I waste all that time worrying about it? Top of the eye. Why didn't I just get it done and forget about it? Side of the eye. I feel silly. Bottom of the eye. Being a procrastinator is so frustrating. Under the nose. I want to get things done without the stress. On the chin. I want to focus on what's important. Collarbone. I want to get things done when I need to. Bottom of the ribs, but I just can't. And it's impossible to change. Under the arm. But is this really true? Top of the wrist. Could there be another reason why I procrastinate? Bottom of the wrist. Maybe I procrastinate because I don't want to risk failing. Top of the head, or being judged. Top of the eye, or being criticized. Side of the eye, or because I'm just so overwhelmed. Under the eye. Maybe it's not who I am. Under the nose. Maybe it's just a protection mechanism I picked up in childhood. On the chin. If this is true, it means I can change it. Collarbone. Maybe I'm not doomed to always be a procrastinator. Bottom of the ribs. Maybe I can stop procrastinating. Under the arm. I'm willing to believe that this can happen. And top of the wrist. I'm willing to believe that I can stop procrastinating. So go ahead and stop tapping and take a deep breath. Now, on that scale of 0 to 10 again, what number would you give where you're at right now? And hopefully it went down. Good. Does anyone have anything they want to say, or definitely down? Great, Shorty. Any comments or anything?
I think mine went down a little bit, but it also kind of woke everything up, if that makes any sense.
It does. And actually, that's one of the things that can happen with tapping. And it's actually a good thing, because it's raising this up for you to go, oh, that's what's true. That's what I need to work on. That's what I can heal. And sometimes even people's, after tapping, sometimes their numbers will even increase. And that's okay. It just means that something came up to be seen and to be tapped on.
No, I'm thinking as soon as we're done, I'm going to go do my taxes.
Yes.
You know, that's been bothering me so bad.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
So thank you.
Yeah. So I am creating an online program about procrastination, but in the meantime, if you'd like to work on your procrastination now and not later, so I have an invitation to coach with me, and I was going to say everyone who joined the meeting today I was going to give you a nice discount, but really it's anyone who is watching this, because I feel bad because of the technical issues that I know some people probably couldn't get into the call. So if you are hearing me, you can get 10% off of my coaching services, my one-to-one coaching services. And really, I know how hard it is to overcome the inertia of procrastination. I still remember it. I still remember what it feels like in my body. And when procrastination seems normal, and it's so frustrating. And so I just really want to encourage you to take action. And just the sooner you can work with these underlying reasons and stop procrastinating, the sooner you can create a business you love or the life that you love based on the values that you want to have them on, and with energy and freedom. And so, yeah, Laura, your taxes have been keeping you up at night, so go do them so you can sleep. You need your sleep. Yes, we all need our sleep. So, okay. So that's what I have for you today. I have a link for scheduling a consultation with me to talk about coaching. And otherwise, I'll put that in the chat right now. Otherwise, any last comments, thoughts, desires? Want to do a little dance?
So I was wondering, so you recorded it, so you can send that so I can listen to, because I missed the very beginning, but it's definitely something I need. You just nailed so many different things, and I definitely will talk, and I'll start doing some sessions, because I realized I had a client that reached out to me that wanted to book massages, and it took me a day to call him back. I mean, what's wrong? I mean, something's wrong. Just all sorts of things, and I like sabotage myself. So, but I'm
Yeah.
really excited because a lot of the things you said make a lot of sense. So I'm looking forward to working with you. I
Lisa,
have to go. My daughter's in an emergency, stuck at the airport. Have to go get grandkids. Love you guys.
Okay. Bye. Thank you, Laura.
Lisa, I
Alicia?
just wanted to say thank you, because that was really rich with really awesome content. And that was just a great gift of clarity that you can give to everybody. And just having that clarity kind of gives you hope that there's a direction that you can go in, and help people go to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. As I was tapping, all of a sudden I thought, well, there has been times that I have faced that fear and pushed through it. So my hope went up. So I'm feeling like, okay, so I'm going to reach out to you, Lisa. I think you'd be able to help me. I got two issues that are kind of big for me right now. So it would be great to do some one-on-one. So I'll definitely reach out.
Super. Great. Thank you, Felicia. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is when you push through them, you teach yourself that you can do hard things. I've done hard things before. I can do this too. And also then you also stop fearing so much the unknown, which is, how long is this going to take? How hard is it going to be? How is it going to come out? You know, the more you get that success under your belt, the less you stop worrying, the less you worry about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sheena. I'll send out an email with the link so she can watch it. Vanessa, did you want to say anything?
No, well, thank you, Lisa. That I love this. I mean, I've worked with both you girls before, and it's funny, Felicia, if you've not done much tapping, you think that you know, and because you know, you're like in your head, but it's amazing when you say it out loud and tap it out. It really truly does release whatever that is. And so as I started tapping by saying, like today, saying I didn't know where these things came from. Like I didn't have a traumatic event in my life, whatever. And then all of a sudden, as I was tapping, I started remembering certain things that I started feeling like I was a failure and like, why try or why even care? So I'm not let down. And so when I feel like something's difficult, I end up putting like a time block on it because I don't want to do it, And I was funny because as I was tapping, and then I started having a conversation with myself, like, no, like this is why it's okay. Like, and so now I'm like, okay, now I know what I need to focus on and what I need to continue to tap on. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, Lisa.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Great, everyone. Thank you so much again. And again, I apologize to those who couldn't get in. Next time.
Yeah.
Bye,
All right.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Lisa, could you add me to, so I'm connected to you on Meetup. Could you add my email address to your other things that you promote? Because I would really like to engage with you more. Yeah.